So in this video, we will be practically learning the Power BI functions, which is basically a function called information functions. We already completed a Power BI aggregate functions, Power BI date and time functions, and Power BI filter functions. We are now on the fourth step that's called information functions, and we already cover a little bit part of it. Let's suppose we cover like is blank, is number, is text, contain string, exact, if error, is error, and selected value, all selected, and if filter. We already cover all these topics. So if you guys not covering all this topic, make sure before jump into this video, you have to cover all this topic. Then you have to join this particular session so that it give more better understanding about the next filter functions. So let's start with the videos and I have to open my this YouTube channel as well. So, yeah.
blank cells in Excel. So it's a little confusing. So let's try to understand this. So it says blanks are not equivalent to nulls. Okay, understand. But DAX uses blanks for
So we already covered we are here this filter and this cross filter.
hello and welcome to another video on Power BI. In this video, I'll be going through isFiltered versus isCrossFiltered function. This video is meant for people who are new to Power BI, and for that reason, I'll be going through this in a slow and deliberate manner. So first, let me go to the Microsoft documentation and then see the syntax and then start our exercise. So I am in the Microsoft documentation page. So let's go through the isFiltered function. So it says it returns true when column name is being filtered directly. If there is no filter applied on the column, it gives us false. So it takes one parameter, that is column name. So if a particular column is filtered directly, we get true. If not, it'll be false. So coming to the other function, that is isCrossFiltered function. And again, it returns true when column name or another column in the same table or related table is being filtered.
Add monthly tab other than the result. So I open that.
So again, it takes one parameter. So that's the column name and we get either true or false. With the help of an example, let's see how these two functions differ from each other. And as usual, I'll be using a sample data set. So this is the sample data set which I'll be using for this demo. I have the item ID, item name, and quality. The item ID is unique. So it's basically I'll be trying to create a one-to-many relationship with another table. So I have the item name and quality. Going to other sheet here, I have also item ID, but this is repeated several times, and order ID and also the item description. So using these two tables and creating one-to-many relationship between these two tables, let me show you how this is filtered and is cross-filtered function works. So now I have this data in PBI, and as you can see here, I have created a one-to relationship, one-to-many relationship between these two tables. Sheet 1 has one-to-many relationship with sheet 2. You can see the relationship is between item ID and item ID in sheet 2. And if you notice here, it's one directional. So whatever filter I apply here applies to this table, but not the other way. So now going to the report here. So now I have added a slicer here. It's called item name, and it's coming from the sheet 1, which is unique. this item ID is unique to this sheet, and I have item name. And the second slicer, I'm getting it from sheet 2, that is item description. So sheet 1 to sheet is filtered. Let's start with the is filter function. So is item description first, item and description cross items cross. And now let me create one more measure equal enter is something bring in I'll is cross filtered item name, and then I'll add. So now it is coming from sheet 2. So now let me filter out for something from the table 1. Let's filter out item name. So we know that there is a one-to-many relationship. So when I apply any filter on this table, because it has a one-to-many relationship, some of the items get filtered in this
हाँ
table because there is a relationship between this table and
क्या
this. So now let me filter out for item
भर
name from
गया
this sheet 1.
क्या
Let's select Apple and see the changes here. So now, since you applied a filter on this table, that is sheet 1, or for the column item name, it says is filtered item name. Yes, we filtered and we applied a filter, and that's why it's showing as true. And again, since we applied a filter here, it also means that the data is cross-filtered. This item name is cross-filtered, and that's the reason we also get true for this particular item name. Okay, and now we have the filter. Since there is a relationship between this table and this, let's see what we get. So is filter item description. So we did not apply any direct filter on this item description. There is only cross filter. When we applied a filter on this table, even though there is a link, we did not apply any direct filter directly on item description, and that's why it says false, because we did not apply. Similarly, is it cross filtered? Yes, because when we apply the filter here, some of the items are cross filtered because there is a relationship between these two tables, and that's the reason it says true. Okay, so that's the difference. So now let me apply a direct filter on this table. Let's say item description. So let me apply fruits, apply a filter on this fruits, and then see if this changes, because it's a direct filter, right? Let's see. You see, now this one changed because we directly applied a filter on this particular table. So that's one of the way. And now let me remove this filter. Okay. And now let me apply a filter on this and see. We know there is a relationship between sheet 1 and sheet 2, and it's one directional. So if we apply a filter on this table, it gets applied on this table. But if we do the other way, let's say if we apply a filter on item description, it doesn't get applied on this table. And that's why I was focusing on why this direction is important. So now let me apply a filter on this table. Let's say item description here. Okay, let me filter for fruits. Now, if you look here, right, item description is coming from sheet 2. Yes, we applied a direct filter, and that's the reason it's showing as true. But at the same time, we applied also a cross filter on the same table, right? Because if you are having a direct filter on this column, it also means there is a cross filter on the same column, and that's why it's true. But if you look these two calculation or measures here, right? Is filtered item name. No, it's showing as false. The reason it's showing as false is because there is only one-sided relationship. So when we apply filter here, it doesn't get applied here. So if you want to make this as true, and if you want to apply the filter on this table by filtering this table, what we have to do is go here and make this relationship as two-sided. So here, cross filter selection, make it as both. And then now if you go back